Hey, this is Doc Yates. I'm a naturopathic doctor, registered acupuncturist, and a kinesiologist, owner of the Yates Naturopathic Clinic, and the founder of the interactive health website, Able Health. And this is the Simply Health Podcast, a show for females where I work to simplify and demystify the secrets of achieving optimal health naturally, based on my own experience in working with thousands of female patients over the past 15 years of my clinical practice. Welcome to Simply Health. Hey, this is Doc Yates, and this is the Simply Health Podcast. And on today's episode, it's brought to you by Able Health, we're going to be talking about the eyes and their reflection of your health. So what can your eyes, or anyone's eyes, tell you about their health? Because the eyes have been called the windows of the soul, and there's a certain thing, which is that with your eyes, you can't hide it whether you want to or not, which is why poker players wear sunglasses, which is why when you're looking at someone intuitively, it's almost like you can get an idea of what they're thinking or feeling sometimes. This is because it is shown within the eyes. The eyes can show a lot more than just what your poker hand is or what you're feeling sometimes at the moment. It can show you a lot about what's going on within your body. So generally speaking, in medicine now, the eyes are kind of just regarded just for what their use is for, is vision. So your eyes don't tell you about your health, your eyes tell you about your vision. But traditionally, the study of the eyes was used for so much more. So in the study of Chinese medicine, in the study of iridology, in the study of a lot of other traditional medicine systems, that's some of the stuff I'm going to teach you and go over today. So we'll start with the basic one, point number one, which is the pupils. So this is the one thing where the use of the pupils is kind of considered to be, think of it, the window to your neurological system. This is why when someone gets a concussion, the first thing they're doing is they're shining the light in their eyes and they're looking in both eyes to see how they react. Because if the pupils are off, it's showing that the effect to the nervous system affecting the eyes, is off. So what you're looking for, they used to use the acronym PERLAC, and you're looking for pupils that are equal and reacting to light and they're accommodating. So if you shine a light into the pupil to reduce the amount of light coming in will constrict. So it doesn't let so much light in. But if you shine it into one eye, the nervous system will automatically make it so that both eyes will constrict. And when someone has a concussion, they're checking that. They're checking, okay, is it something throwing the nervous system off? Is there a brain injury? Because if that is the case, then sometimes only the eye with the light being shone into it will constrict and not both eyes. So that's just one of the tools that you would use for that. But the thing is that the pupils can tell you more. Like, for instance, some people with a lot of light sensitivity, it's almost like their body is the sympathetic and parasympathetic has been set off, so it's like their pupils just don't ever constrict enough, so there's always too much light coming in. And in traditional naturopathic medicine, someone who had a lot of light sensitivity, the adrenal glands were often thought to be involved in their link to the nervous system. So it's almost like the person was just kind of spent, like when they get to the point where they're so burnt out that the nervous system cannot react properly and maintain a constriction, that was considered to be something you could determine by looking at the pupils. So an example of that would be that you would shine some light into someone's eyes, and just like you would see the pupil constrict, but then it couldn't maintain that constriction, and then it would kind of blow wide open again. And this was thought to be basically the sign of kind of stress burnout. The other thing that we're still just on point number one, actually. So the other thing that the pupils can tell you, and this is something that they used to talk a lot about, was for, I don't know, they would almost use the term, I think of it like a faker. Like, imagine someone who's faking being pained so they can be off work for disability. And there's a lot of medical tests to determine if someone was faking. So there used to be a test where you'd hold someone's feet, and then if they were trying to lift up one leg because they said I couldn't possibly lift it, there's too much pain in my back. But yet, if they're not pushing down, it shows that they're not even trying. So it kind of makes a doctor wonder if they're faking. A long time ago, if you look at some old naturopathic textbooks, If someone was in a lot of pain, there would be pupil constriction. I have noticed this. In a lot of my patients that have chronic pain, I'll notice that their pupils are always slightly smaller. And it's almost that pain is causing that tension. It just causes everything to kind of to squeeze down, including the pupils. So small pupils can show that someone is in more pain. Large pupils, if they're really large, sometimes it shows that, sometimes you'll see that with people if they're on drugs. You'll see really large pupils. And really large pupils used to be a sign of beauty. So now when you go to the eye doctor and they put something in your eyes, it's called atropine. So atropine is actually an extract from a plant called belladonna. And it is called belladonna because it means beautiful woman. And because what would happen is that women would take this extract from this plant and they would drop it in their own eyes to make their pupils look bigger because it was a sign of beauty back. And this I guess would have been in like Italy and Spain. So this was a sign of beauty. So now that you could only imagine walking around with that. When people come into the eye doctor and their eyes are all blurry and fuzzy and it's the bright light shining in, people are doing that to themselves on purpose because they wanted to look more pretty. So that goes back a long time too. So that was a long ramble for point number 1, but that's just what your pupils can tell you about your health alone. Now we want to talk about the whites of the eyes. So this is called the sclera. So the whites of the eyes will tell you a lot if they're not white. So they should be like a nice pearl white color. And if they're not, that can tell you. For instance, everyone would know yellow. So if someone sees a lot of yellowing in someone's eyes, people are thinking liver issues. And they're often thinking of usually cirrhosis or someone struggling with alcoholism. These are all things that can cause the yellowing of the eyes because it's going to be related to the liver backing up. And that will turn the eyes yellow. But sometimes it's not just yellow. If you see someone with a lot of redness in their eyes, does it mean they have an allergic reaction? Does it mean that they're angry? Or are they just crying? That will tell you something. A bluish color sclera, or sometimes like a bluish ring around the eye, you will see that in cases of anemia. So if the eye has that bluish tinge, instead of being a nice white color around the eye, it's enough to make you want to question, is the person deficient in iron, or they have low red blood cells, and it's worth looking into that. There is an older book written by a naturopathic doctor a long time ago. I guess at that point, it wasn't really differentiated between naturopathic and regular. He was a medical doctor, but he did things more with a naturopathic approach. And his name was Eli Jones, and he did a lot of work with cancer. And he found that in a lot of his patients, one of the things he would notice there'd be like instead of like a nice white color, it would be like an off-white, grayish color to their eyes. And he would notice that there must be some sort of illness or strain on the system and that person it was a first sign that person was not necessarily had cancer, but that there was a struggle for their bodies. I can't remember how he worded it, sorry. But there was basically a strain on the person's health system. And while it didn't necessarily mean that the person had cancer, he didn't really see cases of cancer where the person did not have it. So think of it as a progression along that line. So a grayish color to the eyes is usually a sign that someone's shifting into a chronic disease. And I have noticed that myself since reading I probably read that book 15 years ago at this point, maybe longer. But that would be a sign that you do commonly see in someone with a chronic health condition. I think that covers everything about the sclera. So now we're going to move on to the blood vessels within the sclera. So when you look at the whites of someone's eyes, you can also see little veins. And it's one of the few spots in the body where you can really get a good look at the veins because there's nothing covering it. The other spot you can see that would be underneath the tongue. And then depending on someone's weight, you can sometimes see it if there's veinness issues in their lower legs. But the eyes and the tongue are one of the spots where you can literally see the veins, and whatever the rule is, like if something's affecting the veins or the arterioles in one part of the body, it's probably systemic. It's probably affecting other parts of the body too. So if you're looking at the eyes and you're seeing the veins and they look like they're really kind of tortuous or blown out, that would be a sign, okay, guess what? There's probably some cardiovascular issues going on here too, and we should be looking at preventing that. So if you see like the veins almost look kind of knotty instead of like a nice straight line, or if they look like they're really twisted, that would be another sign of what they would call like tortuous arteries. So everything's kind of tightening up and twisting, and that's a sign of heart disease as well. The third thing, your eyes and your health. There's an entire system of studying your iris, which is called iridology. So this is a pretty, it's definitely not mainstream by any stretch, but the study of this is something that's been going on in European herbalism for well over 100 years. Some of the first books that I've read on this were going back into the 1700s. It was a system used by monks in terms of working with health, and they could look at your eye and tell you all sorts of issues about your health. So there's two thoughts of this. One, the eye itself is telling you everything that's going on within your body. So and at the within like a 90-day window, saying, okay, you've got a injury to your leg. Well, I'll tell you one of the first stories of the guy who made iridology popular. So bit another ramble here. The guy had a pet owl, and the owl broke its leg, and he noticed in the owl's eye when it broke its leg, this white mark showed up in the eye, and then he noticed over time as the leg was healing, that white mark changed to more of a yellowish color, and then it kind of changed to a darker color, and that stayed within the eye. And then his theory was that must have represented the area of the leg. So he studied it further, and they mapped out the iris to find all these different areas within the eye. So if something was going on within your body, it was showing as a map within your eye. And while both theories of iridology believe within these different areas of the eye, one of them thinks of it as, okay, this is showing your weaknesses, like your genetic weaknesses. So it's like, oh, if there's something going off, say, in your digestive system, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a digestive issue at that very moment, but it means genetically maybe you're prone to these issues. Or if it's showing, there's different types of irises, so one would show that you're more prone to circulation issues, the other one would be more prone to lymphatic issues, the other one more prone to neurological issues. So they would think of all of those as that's what you're constitutionally kind of given, and it's something to be aware of when you're kind of picking dietary choices. People then, instead of just taking herbs to treat something, they would take it for longevity, and that those herbs would be based upon what are their genetic weaknesses. So the other thought would be it's not a genetic weakness, it's literally showing actively. So those are the two aspects, but literally just by looking within someone's iris, you can tell a lot about someone's body and the different things that they've been through. So that's worth enough for you to look up on your own if you're interested in that. But just to let you know that the iris can tell you, it's almost like a map of the entire body between your two eyes. Your eyebrows. Your eyebrows. The biggest thing to be aware for that is that sometimes you think of the eye as just, okay, well, so it's showing your hair. So yeah, if you had no eyebrows and it was a sign of alopecia, then that could mean there's an autoimmune condition. But if you have thinning in just the outside third of your eyebrows, and this is something that is definitely a lot more for this audience to be aware of, with menopause and perimenopause, you will often see thinning in the outside of your eyes, and this is generally linked with thyroid issues and low iodine issues. So that is a sign that if you see that, you make sure they get your thyroid properly checked, full TSH, T3, T4, and if those come back as normal, still consider adding iodine and trace minerals to your diet. That's very important. And the fifth and final point of what your eyes can tell you about your health is not just the eyes themselves, but the lines and the wrinkles that form around your eyes. So is the main thing around your eyes, is it a stress furrow between your brow? Like, is that the main emotion that you're dealing with, is stress and they'd consult a stress furrow or overthinking? Or is it laugh lines from crow's feet on the sides of your eyes because you're someone who's always smiling and laughing? Is it bags under your eyes because you don't sleep well, or also because there could be possibly because of thyroid issues as well? Dark circles under your eyes, is that because of poor sleep, lack of energy? Is it because of anemia? Is it because of allergies or food sensitivities? If it doesn't give you the answers, they often will give you what's the next question. And sometimes that's just as good because it tells you what's the next question that we need to look into to address this. So just to review, we've got the pupils, what they can tell you about your eyes. You have the whites of the eyes and the colors of that and the blood vessels within the whites of the eyes. The iris itself is an entire system of medicine, or it used to be an entire system of medicine. It's not as common anymore. It's almost like another system lost. What can your eyebrows tell you about your health? And what can the wrinkles and the lines tell you about your health and constitution as well? So I hope all of this information, next time you're gazing into someone's eyes, see what you can learn from them. And next time you're looking in the mirror, see what you can learn about yourself. So this is Doc Yates signing off. Thanks for tuning in to Simply Health. If you want to learn more about health, check out Able Health. If you want to see some of the other projects that I've been working on in health, business, music, and life, please check out the links below.